Woo! Ready for some vibe coding? Let's go. All right, got a project idea. Want to go over it, want to go through it. I think I can build this thing. It's been on my list for a little while. As you can see, oh my gosh, my list, what I've started is over here in process. And this one, it's on my hot list. It's on my hot list, but I think I can do something about this. Quick heads up, I'm about to give you my background thinking for this app. So if you want to skip ahead to me starting to interact with the tool to build it, skip to a little after 5 minutes, about 5 minutes, 15 seconds, something like that. I think potentially I can build this, or at least build an internal tool that gets me close to this, and then see where we go from there. All right, I'm gonna give you 60-second overview of what kind of I have and what I'm looking to do. I have this events section on my website. So we run a local media brand. We have an email newsletter run by Beehive. Props, shout out to Beehive, awesome tool. Things to do in Mobile, Alabama. So that's like the newsletter segment, the part. We talk about events and we link back to those events that are on our website. So this is actually the live version of the newsletter. Some upcoming events here. And so if I click, hey, get more event information, open up this. So this is a section on a WordPress website, and it's a WordPress plugin. Here's the problem with the WordPress plugin is that it's very manual. Like we add all of these events. Sachin on my team goes in and adds all of these events. We choose what we want on here every week. And it takes a lot of work. People submit what things that they would like on here as well, and then we also look through those, and so it's very tedious. So my goal is to automate this. Well, how can we do that? Well, I think we can build a tool similar to some other friends of mine that is like an event tool. So I had a call today with a company that does this, and I may pay them to do it. I may pay for their product, but I'm going to see if I can build something that kind of like works for myself. That might work. This is an example of my buddy that uses that paid tool. And what they do is that company scrapes all of the certain event websites in his area and kind of imports all of those events. And then maybe he picks and chooses what he wants to go live, I think is kind of how that works. Someone can add an event or advertise. If they click to add an event, they have to log in. So they have to log in for the first time to be able to add an event. And these are all things that in my mind, now that I've built a handful of like random tools, I'm like, yeah. I get what's going on here. You're logging in, there's a database. I don't know how a scraper works, but I think AI can help me build that. Here's my other buddy's site. And I see here that it's hosted on Vercel. Well, today I'm going to build in VO, and Vercel owns this. So for all I know, this exact project was built with using VO. I have not gotten a rundown of like how this works in the back end or whatever, but it's kind of like an app. It's cool. It's definitely cool. And so what I'm wanting to build is something that kind of is connected to all of these. So I want to be able to scrape event websites that maybe it has a list already or helps me figure out, or we populate like a list where we're like, hey, here's a dozen websites that are great to check and pull events from. I want to add events to the queue that we can approve to be published. So if, like, we want to scrape them, pull them in, and then be able to like check and say, yes, publish this, don't publish this, whatever. And maybe we can automate some of these items. Now, I didn't put any of the details here about like list view, so UI info, like list view, grid view, by week, by month, etc. So I think we'll build into that once we kind of get going. But I think the future would be to allow users to submit events. I don't know if we'll do that right away. Maybe we will. But then I would want to be able to allow users to be able to pay to advertise their events. So like ultimately, this is what I'm wanting to build for my brand. If I can build this, and maybe I have to get some outside help, but if I can build this for less than, say, $1,000, I think it makes sense to build this. And maybe it's going to cost much less than that. But if I can do that, I will not renew the WordPress plugin. I'll be able to save Sachin's time. and maybe automate some of the selling process. I just think it makes sense to invest that money. Maybe I can turn this into a product that other people that are running local newsletters need this as well, right? So there's a lot of benefits here if I can pull this thing off. So I know I just gave you a lot of detailed information on what I'm thinking, but I wanted to do that before I got into the specifics of the build. First, and call me crazy, but I should probably hop in here and let me just discover and see, like, I don't know, is anyone building something already that I can look at? Luminary events, landing, event registration, kiosk. Let me look at calendar app. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but pretty cool. Why would that have so many forks? Let's look at this real quick. 1,000 forks. Or let's see how this thing runs and operates. Like, is that an actual calendar? Modern calendar app? Literally looks like my Google Calendar. I'm not sure I need that. All right, let's go back home. Let's assume there's nothing that's like what I want. Now, I may go back into a tool like Grok or ChatGPT and try to outline this thing, but I think today I just want to start and just kind of see what we can come up with. Let's just see what we can build, and maybe we have to scrap it and start from scratch. I'm not sure. That's okay. So let's just get going and see what we get. All right, pretty big prompt here. Don't know what's going to happen. But I want to create an online web app that can be an online events calendar for my local media brand. I want to be able to help choose and update a list. I think it's confusing. I want to be able to choose a list of sources that we can use to pull events from, including Eventbrite, Facebook, etc. We are looking for events like live music, family events, art events, 5K fun runs, etc. I then want to be able to select which events get published live on our website. Let me say the website so it doesn't get confused. Later, I'll want to add the ability for people in the community to submit their own events and also pay for promoting them on the platform. I feel good about it. Let's hit go. Let's see what happens. Okay, I thought through the chain of command. I didn't see what that chain of command was, but that's okay. We're going to find out. I feel like I described this well. The question is, did I describe it in the language that a developer would like understand? I think so. Quick stretch. Ooh, pop my back. I think I'm going to need a database for this. Maybe Supabase, which I've learned of. Maybe that becomes the tool. All right, cool. So it created a basic community events calendar, which is cool. Browse events by category, music, art, family, sports. Okay, search functionality, filtering options, responsive design for mobile and desktop. So this is more like a website, and that's okay, I think. Yep. I like this layout. That's cool. Family, I see they're tagged different things. That's neat. Okay. In my head, I'm thinking how this works with my current website. Let me go see if does that take me back to the homepage. I'm not sure to get back to the homepage. That's okay. Okay. Configure multiple sources. Eventbrite, Facebook, enable, disable sources. Yeah, I like that. Manual sync options, source specific settings. Okay. General site settings, category management, user management, source integration, support for various source types, API integrations, RSS feeds, iCal. Okay. To fully implement, we're going to need to set up a database to store events, sources, and settings. Makes total sense. Implement the API integrations with event, Facebook, etc. Create server actions for event approval rejection. Add authentication for the admin dashboard. Okay. Implement the event submission form for community submissions. Yep. Add payment processing for promoted events. So what I want to say is this appears to be a regular, this to be a normal website should. Actually, I think I'm okay with this being a standalone product because we have an email newsletter of more than 13,000 people. We have currently a website, the Mobile Rundown, but this could be its own separate thing that just links. Like it could be its own product that links from those. Like it doesn't necessarily have to embed on those, I think. So, but I am going to ask, this looks like a normal website. Should it function and act differently as a web app, or is what we have okay? I don't know. That's probably a dumb question, but I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask it anyway, just because I want to see what it has to say. It said, "You're right. What I've shown is more of a traditional website with some interactive elements rather than a full web app experience. Let me explain the difference." And I probably could have gone somewhere else to ask this question rather than directly in the builder, but that's okay. A true web app would typically have more client-side interactivity, less page refreshes, more dynamic content. That makes sense. Personalized user experience, user accounts, preferences, saved events, progressive web app, offline access, installability, okay, real-time updates, okay, mobile optimized interactions, all fair things. And I do kind of feel like it should probably operate a little bit more like that. Now, I think that's what it's doing, is maybe taking it upon itself to build us something that's a little bit more like that. All right, so it made a bunch of improvements. What it's considering improvements for real-time API integration, mobile optimized interactions, enhanced user experience. All sounds great. All right, so the app remembers user preferences and saved events. Cool. Offline. No, we don't need it to remember a user's events. Can be added to home screen. State persistence. So let me add this one and let it know it doesn't have to know this, that the key is really for users to be able to add their events. All right, so I said it won't need to remember saved events, but that the important part for logging in is for community members to be able to submit their events and also pay to promote them. So yeah, we'll see what adjustments it makes. All right, so here's some changes that it made. So refocus the application to address your specific requirements. User authentication, secure authentication, password reset abilities, event submission, comprehensive form with basic event details. Yep, okay, that's cool for now. We are going to need that. Event promotion system, cool. We are going to need that. User dashboard, view submitted events, track performance, manage promotions, access billing information. That could be a good addition. So we'll see a payment, credit card storage, transaction history, web app versus website approach. All right, it's now more app-like because it focuses on user accounts and personalization, provides workflow, offers transaction capabilities, includes performance analytics. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That could be a good idea. Maybe not. Let's see. The admin side still maintains the ability to curate which events get published, while community members now have a dedicated interface for submitting and promoting their events. All right, so such as the payment processing integration or the event approval workflow. Can we build a way to automate event injection by importing or scraping data from public sources? Can we do that? I don't think it's a separate tool. I think it would be the same tool. I think this website would also, it's a separate piece to this tool, but the tool also to be able to this is interesting, crawl the web, find events to import into this tool, and then maybe able to go in and manage those. I know it's totally possible, but it's like two different parts, right? Two different pieces. Gotta sit down, guys. It's taking a while. Back's hurting. All right, cool. So it's added a lot of potential functionality. Now, this stuff it's probably not going to work, right? So I haven't even clicked anything. So I just clicked the about page. Does not work. Terms of service. Nothing happens. Privacy page. So it's not functional. Nothing happens. Yeah, you can't go in and submit events. When I do click browse events, that's cool. That works. Family art. That's right. Family sports all. Yeah, so that's cool. Like that works. View details. Yeah, nothing happens. source, Facebook, local submission. That's cool. Let's try garden. Cool. So search functionality works. That's pretty awesome. Currently, it's just like a grid view. There's not like a list view. No big deal. We can work on all that. But so what it said it added. Let me go all the way back up here. What it said that it added is multiple sources type support. Now I don't know how all this is going to work. I have to figure out how to get this like set up and how that works. But API integrations for Eventbrite, Facebook events, Meetup. I've heard Facebook Meta, so I don't know. I think that one's a little more interesting and more difficult. So, but we're going to see. Man, if we could figure that out, that would be incredible. RSS feeds from event websites, that makes total sense that we'd be able to use that. iCal calendar feeds makes sense. Web scraping for sites without formal APIs. Cool. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about with this, to get those type of events on this website. Flexible configuration, auto approval options, customizable sync schedules. Wow, that's like over my head and what I was even thinking. So duplicate detection, very good. Smart matching to prevent duplicate events. Monitoring and logging, health monitoring for each source, error reporting. All right, how it works. Admins configure event sources through a user-friendly interface. Set up field mappings to normalize data from different sources. Configure sync frequency and auto approval settings. Now these words are awesome and it makes sense to me. The question is, can we get this to close to function? And if I can get it close to function, maybe at that point I can bring in again a developer and say, hey, cool, can we, like, how can I get this up and running and live, right? So maybe that becomes my new normal, where I have these ideas, I build them out, and then we kind of go from there and see. Yeah, I get help from professionals, like actual developers that know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing in the sense of code or how to set the stuff up, right? So I'm just like following instructions. Automated syncing, okay. Review and publishing, yep. Admins can review, improve, reject. Yep. Technical implementation. So benefits, content richness, time savings for sure. Improved user experience. Implementation steps. So set up data sources. Start with 2 to 3 reliable sources. Configure field mappings and test imports. Review and refine. Monitor import quality and adjust mappings as needed. Identify and resolve any duplicate detection issues. Okay, expand sources. Gradually add more sources as the system proves reliable. Since if I could partially automate by importing items and then partially manually add items, if we can create that, like where the admin can add items and we can log in as an admin, or I can make Sachin on my team an admin where he can just add events. That would be pretty cool. Then I'd be willing to turn, on the website when you click this week's top events, we could just make the link. We could just forward to call it the new website or the new web app, right? We could forward it to here once we get this up and running. Okay, let's change the design a little bit real quick. I know we're 30 or 40 minutes in or whatever, and it's still like just kind of plain Jane or whatever. So what I'm going to do is just take a screenshot of our current website. I think this will work. We're about to find out. So we just take a screenshot of the current website and say, can you brush up, whatever, improve the design to be similar to our current event website. And I'm just going to paste that screenshot here, pop it in there, and I'll let it do that. And then I want to start working on the technical aspects and seeing what VO here can walk me through on how to do that. Wow. Okay. Well, it basically just copied my website, and that's okay, as my wife would say, and that's okay. So, all right, I'm not really, okay. I think I need to tell it, hey, I only wanted to adjust the design elements, not actual buttons and such. Okay. Yeah. I think we gotta undo this. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe adding the screenshot was a bad idea. But what I said was, hey, I only meant to adjust the colors, design, etc. I didn't mean for you to change menu items, add email embed form, etc. So, hey, it says it's sorry for misunderstanding. You're absolutely right. I went too far. Let me provide a more focused design that only adjusts colors and styling. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, because really the goal is, can we get a functional tool? Can we get it to do that? And that's what we need to focus on next. We're going to be getting close to two things. One, my number of questions with VO. I have not upgraded. How crazy is that? I have not upgraded this tool yet. I still am not paying for it. I am totally game to pay for it, but which means I would stop paying for Lovable. I would need both of these for the time being. But and then I also want to max this out at an hour, like, because I want you to know what it's like to sit down with this tool for an hour and just kind of work and massage and go with it. So, all right, we'll let it go through this. Oh boy, now we got like a Frankenstein thing. That's what we got. How do you get back to the home screen? I actually don't know the answer. All right, I'm gonna upload the image again and just tell it, hey, you can remove these from the home page. Hopefully that works. Running low on time here. We made a Frankenstein. Can't have a Frankenstein. I don't want to have to start from scratch. All right, much better. Dashboard. Cool. The dashboard. So view all events. Here's all the events. Manage event sources. Yeah, okay, cool. Actions, edit, view source. That doesn't work yet, of course. Spring Art Exhibition. Okay, let me approve that. It's pretty awesome. Pending events, publish events. Super cool. Super cool. All right, I like the idea. I like the idea where we're going here. Can we get any of this? Can we get any of this functional? Man, we about to find out. So let's ask this thing, hey, what's the next steps here? So let's see what it says. You just say, okay, great. What are the next steps to connecting our event sources? And I've got 2 free messages today. Maybe, do I upgrade the plan today? Maybe, but we're also approaching where my brain starts to hurt. We're at about 50 minutes, so we'll probably just keep it with these free questions. So, because I'm gonna have to shift gears. All right, so let's give me some thoughts here or notes here on how to connect these sources. I still don't think this stuff should work because we're still just building the UI, like the user interface over here. But even with that said, what I'll probably do is grab this information and save it in my own notes so I can kind of like understand what I need to do, and then I'll just try it. Let's come back over here. Let's add it in Trello. Let me just make a new comment. Here's step. Okay. So I'll add that. I'll read through it. I'll tell you what my thoughts are. We'll go from there. You know what I need to see? I need to see on the page. Do I get a teammate or would they need my login? Per user collaborative, 30 per month. Start a team plan. Oh, I don't want a team plan. I'm not big enough for that. But what I can do is, because that would be $30 per person, so that'd be $60 a month. What I can do is, if I need someone to look at this with me, if I get to the point where I'm like, okay, cool, I'm ready to turn this over to a developer, I think what I can do is, add this code, or I could download a zip file of all the code and share it with my developer and say, look, hey, here's what we've got so far. Here's where we are. Let's take it from here. Let's discuss the project from here. Here's what I'm trying to do. So, okay. All right. So what I want to know is, hey, where does the event data, the RSS, web scraping, etc., get stored? And I said, hey, let's set up and test using Eventbrite. Does it have API, RSS, other? I don't know the answer. We're going to find out if vo.dev knows the answer, and we'll figure it out. I do like that this has the look and feel of, just the look and feel of my current website. That's pretty cool. That is pretty neat. I can see this being a standalone product and us linking to it for events. Things are changing, right? You can't always stay the same. All right, yep, and I've heard this before. This makes sense. So in our current implementation, event data is stored in memory using array placeholders. Okay, no problem. But you would set it up using a database, recommendation, source table, configurations. So those are things that we would have to set up. You could use any of these database options. And I have, let's see, PostgreSQL. That is what Supabase uses, which I have an account with. Oh, interesting. Serverless, so Supabase. Supabase, I guess, is the tool you can sign up with, and I guess they work with this database. So I don't know how that works, but they coordinate and work with that. Okay, setting up Eventbrite. It offers an API. Create a new application to get your API key. Configure Eventbrite as a source. Add new Eventbrite events. API integration. Okay, kind of understanding what's going on here. Map these fields. Implement the API integration. Test the integration. All right. So I'm approaching an hour. I have. So let's. It'd be cool if you could save portions of your conversation and say, hey, I want to return back to this portion of this conversation. I don't, as far as I know, you can't do that. But like, to me, this section here is like pretty interesting. Okay, event data storage. Like, I kind of need to be able to come back to this. Let me just, I don't know, copy and paste it for now, I guess. Ooh, it's a lot of stuff, but that's cool. I'll save it. So I think where we can get to today is we can ask, let's ask the final question. So we're at an hour. We're approaching time here. What is there an easier way to import? Let's see. Yeah, so RSS would be pretty easy. I feel like web scraping is the next thing I'm going to need, because that's kind of what we're doing, right? Is like manually grabbing data from these event sets websites. So, okay, let's look at how to implement the web scraping tool on specific event websites, please. What are the steps for this? So let's see what it has to say here. Okay, so it looks like we can do it straight from here. Web scraping is perfect for importing events from websites that don't offer API or RSS feeds. Totally makes sense. All right, so I just read through all this for the scraping, how to do it, how to implement it. Totally makes sense. You can do it as long as, technically, as long as a website doesn't change, like once you get it set up. And then if they were ever to change their technical, layout or whatever, you may have to, it may stop working. Also, should only do it for public-facing information. If it's against their terms of service, don't do it. Totally makes sense. I feel good with where we got today. So we'll consider that. We're a little over 60 minutes. We're going to condense this down. We'll see. But yeah, see you guys on the next one. See ya.